Well, hello and welcome to Atheism versus Logic. I hope you're having a good day. I want to talk to you about microtubules and show you a video of microtubules and other filaments. I'll provide a video in the description below on YouTube and above on Facebook. And so microtubules are these amazing little tubes inside eukaryotic cells that things like motor proteins can walk on. They're very important for transporting organelles and for also splitting the genetic information in, I believe it's mitosis, during mitosis. And so watch this video and just be honest with yourself because, man, this just reminds me of what we see in science fiction about nanotech and nanobots. You know, they're able to form these tubes for transportation and other functions, and then break apart and then, come back together in another location where it's needed. Isn't that amazing? I mean, how many companies would love this kind of technology for anything that they do? You know, how amazing is this kind of ability and this kind of function for something to appear, be a structure and then dissolve and then come back as another structure that's needed in another area. I mean, that's just amazing. So hopefully you guys are honest with yourself and you realize that this could not come about by natural processes. Of course, again, I've said repeatedly in comments, I don't know if I've said it in a video, but proteins kill atheism. And these microtubules are made of two different kind of proteins. I believe it's alpha tubulin and beta tubulin. Don't quote me on that. But these proteins, make up the microtubules, and they're just amazing. And we know that proteins are very complex. They're made up of amino acids in a very specific sequence. They have to fold properly. And so, so may you just realize that this could not come about by natural processes. So not only does this also continue, I mean, man, you study cells and you just can't be an atheist. You can be a deist. That was my cat. I don't know if you realize that you could be a deist, right? You don't have to immediately accept any kind of God. You can just be honest with the science and realize that we were created. So not only does this show us that life could not come about by natural processes, it requires a mind, but also this idea that I don't hold to, but you guys do, which is this idea of a common ancestor, that you realize that this could not come about by evolution, by natural selection, right? Because it would have never been produced and put to use, right? So of course you've got the prokaryotic cell, a much simpler form of life, but still crazy complex. I've easily refuted the idea of atheism by studying the prokaryotic cell. Now we're in the eukaryotic cell, and we've got these new structures like motor proteins and microtubules that are not in the prokaryotic cell. And so we know that if it couldn't have evolved into that. You couldn't have had a prokaryotic cell swallow another prokaryotic cell and then somehow accidentally produce microtubules and motor proteins and had them, had a organelle attached to a motor protein and walk along this microtubule. That's just crazy, guys. Quit being crazy with yourselves. And I'll plan on making another video of this, but here's the problem with atheism, I believe, is you guys first you guys convince yourself that evolution and a common ancestor is true, which I understand that does look like it's true if you're looking at the fossil record and you're looking at microevolution. I believe, of course, God made microevolution. He gave animals and organisms the ability to adapt to their surroundings. And the creator obviously loves variety. So when you have a variety of organisms and you know that organisms can adapt to their surroundings, I understand why you guys would conclude that natural selection and macroevolution could bring about new parts of an organism and how you would think that's a common ancestor. But that's a mistake. You've got to look at the beginning. You've got to look at the cell. First, you've got to ask yourself, is there a creator? Because when you look at the prokaryotic cell and now the eukaryotic cell, then it's obvious that we were created. And it's obvious that these new mechanisms could not come about by natural processes. And then when you realize that, then you realize that macroevolution, as far as, natural selection could produce these amazing mechanisms, well, then that's untrue, that it requires a creator. Because how many times would nature have to accidentally write new genetic code, right? That's crazy. I'm also going to do a video called the I'll probably call it the macroevolution test, where you start with a functional sentence. Remember the atheist test, you've got to come up with your own gene. You've got to come up with your own protein. You've got to come up with your own paragraph by blindly pecking. Now with the macroevolution test, what you would do is you would start with a functional paragraph, and then you've got to randomly delete some of it. You've got to randomly type in some of it. So, see what would happen if you randomly messed with a functional paragraph. It wouldn't be functional afterward. And same with genes and proteins. Nature is not able to accidentally create new genes, right? So anyway, I hope this helps. Again, you guys you're looking from the top down instead of the bottom up, and you've got to look first at the prokaryotic cell, the eukaryotic cell, and then you'll find out that life requires a creator, and you will find that things cannot evolve into these new organisms cannot randomly evolve and acquire these new genes, these new mechanisms, right? Microtubules would never come about by natural processes. Right, I've already proved that a functional protein would not come about by natural processes. Microtubules are made of proteins. The motor proteins on them are made of proteins. So, and again, even if it could, it would have to get them to function, right? I mean, even if nature could accidentally produce a motor protein and a microtubule, it's got to all work together to where, that motor protein, an organelle hooks to the motor protein hooks to the microtubule, and it carries it where it's supposed to. I mean, come on, life clearly requires a creator. So watch this video of microtubules and other, I think they're called microfilaments, and just be amazed at what our creator has done. And again, you don't have to accept a religion. Just abandon atheism, because atheism does not hold up to science. And you can be a deist. You believe that there is a creator, but you believe that maybe that creator just let us be. It created us and left. So anyway, just be honest with yourself and study science. Don't protect your atheism from science. Allow science to pull you away from your atheism. I know it can be painful. I know, the atheist community can be very comforting, but you can find community somewhere else.